Nigeria, there are still many there. There are many. I believe that those people, they said that they are deep.
When you begin to hide yourself
of the business I'm doing, how to keep business, like customer business, receipts.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Oyi Adekunle. Now to news happening about migration around the globe. A federal high court in Benin has sentenced a 49-year-old woman, Christy Ehirobo, to 9 years imprisonment for human trafficking. Ehirobo was tried and convicted on a 3-count charge of procurement of a person for prostitution and deceitful inducement. The accused, who has been standing trial since 2011, was also convicted for having recruited an SS2 dropout of Baptist College Benin, who later became a fashion designer for her sister, Esther Ehirobo, who lives in Greece. She was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment on each of the 3 counts to run concurrently. In Congo, Congolese migrants and officials have said dozens of people have been killed in neighboring Angola in a crackdown on artisanal diamond mining. According to local officials, at least 180,000 Congolese citizens have crossed the border with Angola since October 1st, most heading to the city of Kamako, where they are living in precarious informal camps. Meanwhile, Angola authorities have strongly denied the accusations of rights abuse. Meanwhile, the Central American migrants caravan have pressed on in its journey towards the U.S. border despite threats by President Donald Trump. Mexican president had launched a program promising shelter, medical attention, schooling, and jobs to the Central Americans who agreed to stay in Mexico, but many of them have rejected the offer. The group of around 3,500 departed from Honduras, and the figures are expected to rise as newcomers from Latin America join the caravan. Morocco has also vowed to deport 141 migrants who were arrested while attempting to storm a border fence with the Spanish enclave of Melilla. One migrant died after falling off the 7-meter-high metal barrier, while 22 others and 12 security personnel were injured. The Interior Ministry said, of course, disclosed this information. No details were given about the nationalities of the migrants to be deported. In July, 800 migrants stormed the Ceuta fence, triggering a crackdown by Moroccan authorities. According to the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, more than 6,000 migrants have made it to Melilla and Spain's nearby territory, Ceuta, so far this year. The head of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, has given EU countries who refuse to host refugees the option of paying more for EU migration and development projects in Africa. He said no relocation then, more money for Africa. Tajani also said EU will further step up returns and deportations of those who reach Europe but do not qualify for asylum. He added that the bloc will seek to build a broader partnership with countries along the migratory routes, mainly in North Africa, including to crack down on people smugglers. Now, one of the experiences that characterize the journey to European shores through the irregular means is physical and sex abuse. These brutalities have lasting effects on the migrants involved, posing dangers to their mental health. According to World Health Organizations, refugees, asylum seekers, and irregular migrants are at heightened risk for certain mental health disorders, including post-traumatic stress, depression, and psychosis. This we shall be looking at after this break. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to the program. Like I said earlier, we'll be looking at some of the psychological dangers that irregular migration pose on victims. And joining me to discuss this is Jennifer Ero, the Executive Director of Society for the Empowerment of Young Persons. You're welcome to the program, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, You work a lot with returnees, and you're in a good place, in a safe place to tell us. So I'm going to ask you, what goes on in an average returnee's mind? What goes on in their mind?
Well, you talked about psychosocial support already. What goes on in their mind is a lot that have happened to them. It's like you can't know it all. They're going through a lot of trauma, also expectation, disappointment, very angry, not only to the society, even to themselves. They see themselves as failure also because they didn't make it over to Europe. A lot go on in their mind, and sometimes you just ask them and say, why are you angry? Why are you sad? They tell you, see, I don't get joy, you know, I don't have joy. Someone telling you I don't have joy. You should imagine whatever that is going on in such person's mind that is telling you I don't have joy.
You know, as at last year, IOM said that many of those returnees have psychiatric problems, mental problems. You work with them, you see these people. What are some of the cases that you've seen?
Well, if you say many of them have a psychiatric problem, obviously you have to take them through some psychosocial needs. What are the needs that we have identified that they need in counseling, and what have we been brought out to identify their mental health status? And let me say almost 80% of them that return, they have mental health issue. We are not saying they are removing their clothes and getting naked on the street, but we are saying mentally they are not stable. If like now they've returned over 10,000 returnees. I mean 10,000 from these African countries, especially Libya, and every day they are still coming back. And you know, you said you've received them from the airport. You can imagine the state of mind they are, and some of them will actually tell you that, look, I am mentally not okay. They are very aggressive. Even during our trainings, they are very, you know, during the, we give them 4 days training on business skill. Obviously, the first day is all about to debrief them, mindset, re-engineering and all that. Then you have the psychosocial support angle. That is where we're beginning to see that there's a lot of them that need support in this area of psychiatric issue. And the thing is that how many therapy centers do we have in even the country or even in the endemic state? So, and what triggers their mental health also, apart from what they have seen? A lot of them left this country without even knowing how to smoke a cigarette. But they got there and got involved with a lot of drugs. They are into hard drugs or whatever. This is not just for the male, both male and female. They are into it. And you now look at it that if you don't rehabilitate them in this area of they're already addicted to drugs and all that, whatever support you are going to give to them, at the long run, all this habit is going to bring it down. All these mental health issues, all these drug issues. And as we speak, that is still a gap. For some partners, I want to see how they can come in. This is a critical area that they need to come in. And let me state here really that IOM is supposed to be a secondary support. The primary support are the state government, the federal government, and other communities, the local community, that are supposed to come together to address, especially this social support area, this mental health. We have psychiatric hospitals all over the, not too many, but we still have few in the country. How do they come in? How do they support? You are giving people license to kill because they already have this psychiatric issue. If they kill anybody or they take harms, or do you know what they have gone to? Somebody that they've given harms to kill people, somebody that they've taken to a graveyard and say, pull out this body and remove all the skins, and you think that person is normal? And then we don't have this trauma center. It's not a one-day off thing. When I say that psychosocial need, it means that it's not one day. You cannot debrief them fully in one day.
I'm very aware that there is business training for returnees.
Yes.
What's on ground for the psychosocial aspect for now?
Like I said, we have the first day is to debrief them, and there is psychosocial support session. That is where you identify. It's just a mental health program that you identify those. First of all, it's for you to identify those that need critical, that is in a critical stage. Because you can't just be pointing to everybody. You know, when you now have one-on-one counseling, because that same day they have counseling session, even when the psychiatrist is done with them, they still go one-on-one with her, and she talks with them. That's where they started identifying that there are lots of them that need this psychiatric support. Even some of them are returned having this problem already upon their return. They already have this psychiatric issue that needed attention. So what happened? Even when you've identified all this, who support, who pay the bills? Obviously, they are coming from a family. Are their family willing to pay all this? So some of them, you find them on the street and you say they are mad.
So when you identify people like this, what do you do? Do they naturally just open up to you, or you are the one who is proactive enough or who is sensitive enough to know that this person has mental needs that must be attended to?
I think that is part of our job also, to identify those that need just more than counseling. That you identify those that need referred to psychiatric hospitals. Because during this training, a lot of things go down. During this training, some will also confide in you. Some of them are so reckless. You will know when you are during this training. Some will tell you, because of physical abuse also that they've gone through. Some of them, they've hit them on in their heads, and they already having some issues. Or some of them, for the men, they tap them, they beat them on their palm. We never knew that beating them on their palm make them sterile. They are not able to function well when they come back. That was a blow, because they now start confiding in us. They come in and say, look, this is what happened to me during my beating and all that is affecting. And you know what that means to a man. And that's a lot of problem. Even though he's not going on the streets yet. But some will tell you, oh, I left a wife and a child. But now I cannot, be a family man the way I used to be. Because a lot come back with a lot of baggages that we cannot just unpackage even in 4 days. And that is where we need a lot of support. IOM cannot do it. EU and IOM cannot do it all. It's not for us now to step back and say, oh, palliate, what they are doing, it will expire. It's time-bound. This project is time-bound. The one we are saying is time-bound. What if the project is all over? What happened? What kind of structure is the state and the federal government and all of us putting in place to sustain the sustainability of this reintegration? How do we sustain it? How do we give other support? I've mentioned we don't have center of rehabilitating those that are into drugs now. I've also mentioned that we do not have support for those that need psychiatric attention, that are already going off. You said, how do we know them? You see somebody in your class that you are training. More than 9 times he will go to his room and change. Be wearing different clothes. He will just be moving restless. You know that is not right. Then you start calling and you start seeing the person talking off. You are saying this one, he's saying that one. The same thing with the women. Some of them, some of the women some of them are so frustrated. Some of them came with children, came with pregnancy, and their family are rejecting them. See, it triggers something. And you just wonder, because in our shelter, we have a lot of these women, and you know that some of these women need some help. Not just counseling alone, need some help. Sometimes we have to protect the child for them not to go and harm the child. So for me, I think this area of psychosocial support and mental health issue is a critical area. For even sustainability of reintegration, this is very paramount. If we do not address this, we're beginning to see how we could do this with the state government. and see existing structures. It's not coming from, it's not out of space, obviously.
Of course.
Exactly. We have psychiatric hospital there, even in Edo State. I'm sure in Lagos and other states here that they can work with them. Everybody bring what you have on board to ensure, because if we do not address this, it's like, I don't know how the society will be.
All right. So
when we lose them on the streets.
All right. So I'll let you hold your thoughts there. I'll go on a short break and we'll come back. We'll go on a short break now, and right after the break, we'll continue with the program. Please don't go away. You're welcome back to the program. I still have Jennifer Errol with me in the studio. Yes, Jen, I'm glad that you're from Edo State.
Yes.
And Edo State is at the center of this particular issue that we're talking about.
Yes.
How is the state government handling this situation?
Yes, for the first time, actually, I'm from the NGO background, so we say it the way it is. The state government, for the first time, is being proactive, accepting that, yes, we have problem. The fact that we have problem, setting up a task force to look at this issue. So the states on their own, they are putting resources together also. Like you said, they always send buses to Lagos to pick up everyone from Edo State, and there they also profile. And some of those women that have no shelter or who to go back to, they also support. They do referrals to shelters and they support them. And you know, recently they just passed the law also in Edo State, a law against human trafficking and irregular migration issues in our state also. And we are looking forward to have an agency so that this whole project could outlive the present government, so that it will not just be attached to this government alone. But if we have the agency, you know, we have this Edo State task force against human trafficking and irregular migration. And is the Attorney General of the state, for you to know how the governor have taken this issue very dear to his heart, is the Attorney General of the state that is the chairman of this task force. And they have their legal unit, they have a counseling unit, just, you know, they are coming on board. I think it's a good political way for us to see that government is beginning to wake up to their responsibility, because when you are in a stage of denial, that is where the problem comes. But this government is not in any state of denial, but they are heading it headlong and say, this is our problem, and we must provide some solution to it. And now that we've discussed here, some of us will also push it for that to them about this psychiatric area also, and said we need to look at the needs, these psychosocial needs that we already have some of them. I know that already the state government have a working relationship with some of these government hospitals that they give they refer them to, and the task force take care of the bills. That has been put in. Those are some of the system already being put in place. And not only that, they are also working with other partners, even like IOM, NGOs like us, and various other bodies. And now we have a case management committee on the reintegration in the state, where all stakeholders are now coming together, which the task force is the one coordinating this committee. I mean, it's a welcome idea, because if you have everyone on board that is supposed to, I think with this discussion we've had, it will even now be it will be very right for us to bring in this psychiatric hospital, for them to be part of this committee, so that our referral system could be strengthened more than what we already have.
Of course, you said, and I quite agree with you, that the government cannot do it alone.
No,
so let's talk about your own organization and the Society for the Development of Young Persons. How do you come in, and how has it been so far working with these people?
Yes, Society for the Empowerment of Young Persons, we've been around since 2003. And our focus has been on this. You know, like we always say, migration thing is not just starting. Even the issue of trafficking is not just starting. So we've been on board all these years. And for us, Society for the Empowerment of Young Persons, like I said, we have a shelter where we rehabilitate and reintegrate victims of human trafficking, and also returnees. Like I said, we have mothers with children in our shelter, those that have been rejected by their family, and those that are pregnant. We've had a lot of babies be bettered to by these returnees because the family are telling them, look, we don't want you with your, I don't want to use the word, you are bringing a child that they don't want to accept in the family, so you have no space in our family anymore. And that's why I also give kudos to the task force when they refer those victims to the returnees to our shelter, and where we do all the counseling. We also give them psychosocial support, but when we also identify those that need more than just only psychosocial support, that need psychiatric needs, they also, it's a whole lot. You can imagine 10,000, more than 10,000 has been returned. Almost 80% are from Edo State. The government is overwhelmed, everybody's overwhelmed, but our organization so far, not only that we are working with return migrants and victims of human trafficking, we are also very passionate to ensure the preventive measures. We are working, we believe in a bottom approach to top, not just the top approach alone. So we are working with various communities in ensuring to prevent this ugly trend, to give her the right information, partnering, strengthening the traditional mediation system in all this local government. That we have been doing. We have set up some structures in the local government. Now, if all the messages we give out in radio, television, and all that, and you know that even in my state, 195 community is not connected to the national grid. And you can imagine, so what 125 that is even they are connected skeletally, that often they don't even have transformer and all that. We are looking at over 300 communities that is not connected at all. How do they reach? Probably maybe those ones that are able to buy recharge card and batteries to power small radio. Exactly. But what we've been able is to work with the traditional rulers. These are their children. These are their family. We are building their capacity. How to respond, who to call. When you see these people come, the scavengers, you call them scavengers. When they come to your community to give this, to promise you heaven and earth and said your life is going to transform within how many few months. These are who to, and to identify criminality, exploitation. Do you know most of the palaces that they were using? Palaces is just like normal courts. You summon people to come and say two fighting, or someone is owing me money. You see some traffickers have been using this. Even the bloggers have been using the platform. That's it. Now we are training the traditional institution to identify all those criminal cases and refer, because you cannot treat criminal cases in your palace. So if a trafficker brings a case and say this one is not paying me some money, it's not left for you to call in the agency. This we did with NAPTIP. We are partnering with a lot of even IOM also, we are partnering with them in their community-based reintegration organization. Was one of these 2 organizations selected to assist in implementation of the community-based reintegration. Now, when they come back, they say they don't have job. So EU and IOM is now saying, you don't have a job. That is what you always say. Now, let's set up factories. We've identified about 15 local government in that 18 local government we have, that we are going to set up cottage factories, fruit juice, plastic factory, cassavita processing mill, even starch to all these other
But these things you're talking about are for adults that return. Do you have child protection measures for the little children, the infants that return?
Of course, of course. For our organization, we also belong to Child Protection Network. I'm the national coordinator of that network. And just recently, we are beginning to have an understanding with IOM to look at the protection of these children, even upon their return. And even during the training, how do we have child-friendly space? How do we even counsel the children? Some of these children that they brought there, they've seen a lot. They've seen a whole lot. You just think, they have 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. If you see their narrative, you'll be scared. If you hear their narrative. So IOM is beginning to look at all this now to see how we can, give even psychosocial support to these children.
All right.
in
so
their child-friendly space.
For the society as a whole, because it's very easy for people to look at someone who just returned and just overlook and say, okay, I don't have a business since the person doesn't live close to me. How much of a threat do returnees who are not given the right psychosocial orientation, how much of a threat do they pose to the society as a whole?
It's like a time bomb. You know what is a time bomb? When you can no longer sleep, with your two eyes, the community will be in a rampage with criminality. People that will, they've been used to carry, they are not scared of any harms. As a matter of, so when you do not, that was why we were always agitating for the 4,000 plus that the federal government brought and said they must be engaged, they must be reintegrated. I think now, the DFID, they are trying to support. So if you don't support, if they don't have any hope at all, you have a slogan when we use in the training, we say return is hope again, that is to make them know that there is still hope. Because a lot of them are coming, to meet nothing. At the peak of frustration, and then you are just saying that nobody sent you anywhere. So who sent you out? So that's not my problem. Well, you don't be surprised that before you enter that your gate, he will be waiting for you there to get in and give him his own portion. So if we do not support them, reintegrate them properly the way we are supposed to reintegrate them, the police are to overwhelm them.
All right, your advice for young people who still do not believe that irregular migration is a thing, who think that all the stories from Libya are just fiction.
Fiction, yes.
What do you have to say to those people?
Well, what I have to say, first of all, migration is not evil. Migrating is not evil. If you migrate legally, follow the right route, not all this hazardous way that go through Libya. We have people that migrate with dignity. Not the one you go through Libya, Morocco, Spain, and Ivory Coast, and you want to kill yourself down on top of the Mediterranean Sea. Like this word you have said, we've profiled a lot of young people and said, they tell you die and die. But we are telling them, it's more honorable to die at home than for you to die on top of the sea or even in the desert. It's real. It's not fiction at all. Even they are not even showing you the real thing. Because when we work with this returnee, there are lots of things they cannot even say that they have gone through. Do you know what it means to lock you up in days? We are not even talking about food now. In the night, what they use you to do, take you to a grave and say, digging, bring out this dead body, remove all the skins. We don't know what they do. Remove some of the organs. These are Arabo dead bodies they say you should be digging out. And put guns to your hands and say, kill this one, I'll do all this one. But, these are real stories. So I'm appealing to our young ones. There is hope in this country. If we look inwards, they say, what they find for Sokoto, they are Sokoto. What you are looking out there, we have organizations also work with VOT, voluntary returnees from even Europe. Those ones that have even gotten there, that said, no, they cannot. Exactly. They are returning back, and we are integrating them. So you are not missing anything if you don't even get there. But if you come back and you have a business, you have something, you are skillful, there's nothing wrong. You visit and come back. You see, we don't give that blanket and say, it's not possible. But how you package yourself, you have something doing. You are not going to be a nuisance in somebody else's country. As long as you are going there to add value, nobody, they will give you visa.
Of course. We're pressed for time, so we have to go now. Thank you very much for being a part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, too, for watching. Thank you very much. You can watch some of our other episodes on TV360 Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. I am Adekunle. Bye for now.